There are truths in the history of humankind that, if people had truly known them from the beginning, they might never have dared to live the way they live today. One of those truths is the reality of the one who created everything. Light and darkness, time and space, life and death, hope and fear. This is not the story of one religion or the tale of one nation. This is the story of the one to whom every soul, whether it wants to or not, ultimately belongs. When you step into this journey, you will realize something overwhelming. At the center of the universe, at the point where all mysteries meet, there is not chaos as human beings often imagine, but a single, absolutely unified truth. And that truth is Allah. Welcome to Prophetic History Explained. You may have heard his name before. You may have heard someone say that Allah is the one and only God in Islam. But most people have never stopped to ask themselves, what does it really mean that there is only one? Why is it that from millions of years ago until today, billions of people have turned to him with an unshakable conviction? And what is it that makes sages, messengers, and the most sincere hearts in human history bow when they hear his name? To understand Allah, you need to step outside the usual limits of your thinking. Because if you look at him with a purely worldly lens, you will never see anything but confusion. Yet when you look with your heart, you will recognize one thing. The existence of Allah is not only the foundation of Islam, it is the foundation of all reality. Allah is not a concept human beings invented to explain what they do not understand. He is not a deity shaped and humanized by imagination. Allah does not give birth, and he is not born. He is not worn down by time. He is not confined by space, and he does not depend on any aspect of his creation. He is the Supreme One, the source from which everything begins, yet he himself is not bound by any beginning. He is the final destination of every journey, yet he never ends. When the Quran declares that nothing in creation is comparable to him, that is not only a theological statement, it is a challenge to the human intellect. Search this vast universe for anything that can truly be compared to the one who created the universe itself. However, the most astonishing thing is not only his transcendence. What makes the heart tremble is the truth that this one who is greater than any measure is not distant at all. The Quran tells us that Allah is closer to the human being than the vein in the neck. He knows what you have never said out loud. He sees what you think you have hidden. And he hears the prayers that you have not even formed into words. This is the most beautiful paradox in all of faith. Allah is beyond all imagination, yet he is so close that every breath unfolds under his watch. It is this combination, absolute majesty together with absolute nearness, that forms the core of tawhid. The affirmation that Allah is the one and only, and that nothing can share that divine essence with him. Tawhid is not just a theological phrase. It is the lens through which a person looks at the world. If there is one single Lord who governs the universe, then no event in life is random. No suffering is meaningless. No good deed is forgotten. No prayer falls into emptiness, and no wrongful act escapes being recorded. For a Muslim, belief in Allah is not just a religion. It is a way of understanding existence itself, understanding that life has purpose, that morality has real weight, and that human beings are responsible for every breath they are given. What makes Allah the center of a Muslim's spiritual life is not fear of his power, but the realization that everything they go through, happiness, trials, loss, and opportunity, all take place within the plan of the one who knows what they do not know. When a person absorbs tawhid deeply, they become steadfast in hardship, grateful in blessings, and humble in success. They understand that no force can harm them unless Allah allows it, and no force can block his mercy when he wills to grant it. From this foundation, all the doors of faith begin to open. To know Allah is the first step to understanding the purpose of human existence. the reason the universe was created, the journey of the prophets, and the reason human beings have been placed in a lifelong test. Allah is the answer to the question that humanity has been asking from the very beginning. Where do we come from? And to whom do we belong? If you would like to continue exploring the stories that illuminate this journey, subscribe to the channel so that Prophetic History Explained has more motivation to create deeper and more meaningful content. There is something that many people who seek to know Allah often do not realize at the beginning. The human mind alone cannot fully grasp the Supreme Being. The human intellect has limits. But the essence of Allah lies beyond every framework of measurement. That is why, in the heart of the Quran, Allah opened another door for humanity to come to know Him. His names, the sacred attributes that He wants people to see, to understand, and to feel. Not to describe Him completely, but to draw the heart closer to Him. That is the meaning of Asmaul Husna, the 99 most beautiful names. Each name is a ray of light reflected in the mirror of the universe. When a person recites and reflects on these names, they are not only calling out a title, they are touching one facet of the divine nature of Allah. These names are not meant to satisfy religious curiosity. They are meant to guide the heart to a greater truth, that Allah is not only the creator, but also the one who sustains, protects, loves, governs, forgives, and establishes justice for the entire seen and unseen worlds. That is why Asmaul Husna is not just a list. It is a map of faith, the language Allah uses to teach humanity how to know Him. The wonder of these 99 names is that they spread out before us like two flowing currents that merge without contradicting each other. The current of majesty and the current of love. On one side are the names that make human beings tremble before His absolute power. Al-Malik, the sovereign. Al-Jabbar, the compeller. Al-Kahar, the subduer. Al-Aziz, the almighty. They remind people that the universe is not a machine running at random, but a system under the control of a power that no one can resist. They teach human beings humility and remind them that no matter how great their intellect may be, they are still tiny beings within a system infinitely greater than themselves. Yet right when a person bows down in awe, the other current of Asmaul Husna lifts them back up with a tenderness that cannot be put into words. Ar-Rahman, the infinitely merciful. Ar-Rahim, the ever-compassionate. Al-Wadud, the loving. Al-Latif, the subtle and gentle. Al-Ghafur, the completely forgiving. These names open a door for a person to see Allah not only as the one beyond all comprehension, but also as the one who touches every smallest pain. They help people understand that even within His boundless vastness, Allah still looks to the weakness of every individual, hears every silent plea, and loves them more than they can ever realize. This combination of absolute power and limitless love does not only describe Allah, it teaches people how to see the world. A person who truly understands Asmaul Husna will never fall into complete despair because they know that Al-Fatah, the opener of ways, can create a path even when all humanity sees only a wall. They never feel completely abandoned because Al-Hafiz, the protector, does not let even a single leaf fall without it being encompassed in His knowledge. They never believe that their sins are too great because At-Tawwab, the acceptor of repentance, always keeps the door of return open. And they never become arrogant because Al-Khaliq, the creator, is the only one who holds the final decision. What makes Asmaul Husna so important is not only the beauty of the language, but the effect these names have on the soul. When a person truly understands the name Al-Hakim, the All-Wise, they learn to accept what they cannot explain. When they understand Ar-Razzaq, the provider, they become less afraid of the future. When they understand al-Adl, the just, they no longer feel the need to take revenge out of anger. When they understand ash-Shakur, the appreciative of every good deed, they begin to see blessings even in the smallest things. These names also act like a moral mirror for every believer. Allah is merciful, so human beings must learn compassion. Allah is just, so human beings must stand for justice. Allah is forgiving, so human beings must learn to let go of grudges. Allah is loving, so human beings must learn to love one another. The deeper someone understands Asmaul Husna, the better they know how to live with purpose, with discipline, and with empathy. In the process of gradually understanding these 99 names, the human heart is led to a deeper realization. Allah does not only want people to know Him, He wants them to become better human beings through knowing Him. These names do not only describe the Supreme Being, they are also the path by which people refine themselves. And when a person deals with the world in the light of Asmaul Husna, the world around them changes as well. That is why the names of Allah are not just religious information. They are the foundation of ethics, thought, and spirituality. They do not only help people see Allah in the universe, but also see Him within themselves in the way they face trials, in the way they love, forgive, and walk each step through this vast life. Before there were human beings, before there were mountain ranges standing silent through millions of years or galaxies swirling beyond imagination, there was a moment that only Allah knows. The moment He separated darkness from light and brought the universe into being with a single command. There was no explosion, no chaos the way people like to describe it. There was only the absolute will of the Creator, and from that will, everything that exists began to move according to the laws that He decreed. When the Quran says that the heavens and the earth were once a single entity before being parted, that is not only an account of the origin of the world. It is also a reminder that everything around us started from one point, one purpose, one plan. And at the center of that plan is Allah. He created the universe in sequential stages, each stage with an order that human beings today can only partially understand. He raised the sky and balanced it with physical laws so precise that if they were altered only slightly, life would never have existed. He set the sun on its course, raised the moon with its changing phases as a sign for time, and scattered the stars across the sky as signs for those who reflect. Nothing is random. Every structure and every movement belongs to a perfect design. And the Quran calls these things ayat, signs through which people can recognize the hand of the one who created everything. Yet what makes the story of creation truly magnificent is not the sheer size of the universe, but the fact that Allah chose to place human beings within it. From earth He formed a being full of limitations, then breathed into it a spirit that He granted. That breath is what creates the absolute difference between human beings and everything lifeless around them. The human body is shaped from dust, but the heart and intellect are given the ability to distinguish right from wrong, to love, to seek meaning, and to turn toward the one who created them. That is why the Quran says that Allah taught Adam what even the angels did not know. Human beings were created not just to exist, but to understand, to reflect, and to bear responsibility. Along with this honor came a mission: to become khalifah, stewards entrusted with the care of the earth. This is not a license for irresponsible domination or unlimited exploitation. On the contrary, a khalifah is someone who knows how to maintain balance, to preserve and protect the mizan, the harmony that Allah placed between nature, morality, and social order. Human beings are placed in a central position in this universe not to destroy it, but to maintain its harmony. When the earth is harmed, when injustice spreads, when greed runs against the original intent of the Creator, that is when the trust of Khalifah is being abandoned. so that humanity would not be lost in the freedom they were given. Allah sent a chain of bringers of light, the prophets. Through them, He reminded humankind of what the sound inner self already knows but often forgets. Adam was guided to stand up again after the very first fall. Nuh endured the mockery of an entire people to warn them of the consequences of arrogance. Ibrahim shattered idols not only with his hands but with reason, teaching people that the Creator cannot be something crafted by human hands. Musa stood before Pharaoh, the embodiment of godless power, to liberate the oppressed. Isa was given miracles to show that Allah can do what no one else can imagine. And finally, Muhammad came to remind humanity that the chain of revelation is now complete, that nothing needs to be added or removed, and that the Quran is the final word that will be preserved until the day of judgment. The beauty of the Prophet's journeys does not lie only in their miracles, it lies in their perseverance in the face of human stubbornness. Each prophet was sent to a community, a time, a context, but they all carried the same message. Allah is one, and this life is a test. They did not only transmit the word of God, they lived it, becoming living examples for anyone who wanted to know what sincerity, patience, and absolute trust in Allah look like. Through them, humanity learns that Allah has never abandoned them, not even for a moment. When people forget Him, He reminds them through the prophets. When they go astray, He opens a way back. When they act unjustly, He sends warnings. And when they seek the truth, He grants them light. The story of creation, the mission of human beings, and the chain of prophets flow together into one comprehensive picture of how Allah communicates with humanity. The universe is the outer sign, the soul is the inner sign, and the prophets are the bridge between the two. When people understand this, they see their place in a story much larger than themselves. They are not lonely, meaningless beings, but witnesses to a sacred plan that stretches from the beginning to the end of time. Within the quiet rhythm of life, there are things people do every day without noticing. Every breath, every choice, every fleeting emotion unfolds in the presence of Allah. The relationship between human beings and the Creator is not a distant concept locked in books. It is a hidden current flowing through every moment of existence. When the Quran says that Allah is closer to a person than the vein in the neck, this is not only to comfort, it is to awaken. There is not a single moment that He does not see, does not understand, and does not know the deepest things inside a person's heart. Because of this nearness, faith, iman, becomes the first foundation of the relationship between human beings and Allah. Iman is not only the verbal declaration that He is the only God. Iman is how the heart learns to believe in what the eyes cannot see, yet the soul feels more clearly than anything else. Every person carries a sacred emptiness inside that can only be filled by the knowledge of Allah. When Iman comes alive, it does not make a person closed off. It opens them to a deeper level of awareness, seeing the world with gratitude, facing trials with firmness, and seeing themselves with humility and responsibility. From this faith emerges another state, tawakkul, reliance and trust. This is not passivity, and it is not blind surrender to fate. It is when a person places their efforts on the ground and sends their trust to the heavens. Human beings act with the small strength they have, and what lies beyond that belongs to Allah. This balance creates an inner strength. They strive with all they have, yet they do not fall into despair when they fail. They are grateful when they succeed, and they are at peace when they cannot control everything. Tawakkul is the support that keeps the heart firm even when the world around it seems to collapse. From iman and tawakkul grows a sacred feeling, love for Allah. Human beings are naturally drawn to beauty, perfection, goodness, and gentleness. In all these forms, Allah is the highest. Loving Allah is not a vague emotion. It is a way a person places him above all desires, all fears, and all worldly attachments. This love makes them choose what is right even when it costs them something. It makes them keep their hearts pure even when no one is watching. It makes them return to him even after failing many times. The Quran says that those who have faith are those who love Allah more intensely than anything else. That love is the rope that connects a person to the one who is beyond all limits. Within that love, people find the clearest way to express it: worship. Salah, zakat, saum, and hajj are not rigid rituals. They are the rhythm that ties the soul to Allah. Every time a person stands in salah, they step away for a moment from the noise of life and speak directly to the one who created them. In that stillness, the heart is washed of chaos, the mind is realigned, and the soul finds a refuge. Zakat and Sadaqah teach that wealth only has real meaning when it is shared. Saum, fasting, teaches discipline and purification. Hajj reminds humanity that regardless of differences, everyone stands equal before Allah. Yet the relationship between Allah and human beings is not expressed only through acts of worship. It is reflected in every ethical action: honesty when no one knows, kindness to the vulnerable, forgiveness toward those who have caused harm. When people act with the intention of pleasing Allah, even their ordinary daily work becomes ibadah, an act of worship. This means that the relationship is never limited to a mosque, a prayer rug, or the month of Ramadan. It is present in every choice, every step, every word. The more a person understands Allah, the more they long to reach ihsan, the level where a person lives as though they can see Him. And even if they do not see Him, they know that He sees them. Ihsan turns life into a conscious journey. It keeps people from wasting time, from lowering their own dignity, and from choosing what is wrong just because it is easy. It transforms a person into the best version of themselves, not because society demands it, but because they feel the gaze of the one they love. Because Allah is always watching over people, He opens a door that He never closes, the door of repentance. Tawbah is the opportunity to return. It is the acknowledgement that human beings were created with limitations and weaknesses, and that Allah does not punish weakness itself. He punishes arrogance. Every time a person sincerely turns back, Allah receives them with gentleness, as if the very first chance had never been missed. This is powerful proof of the relationship Allah wants to build, not one of blind fear, but of love, trust, and a lifelong journey of self-improvement. When this relationship is nurtured in the right way, it becomes the compass that guides an entire life. Wherever they go, however many times they fall, a person knows that they are never completely alone. In that connection, human beings find what the world can never give them: a deep peace that comes from the one who is always with them, even when they do not realize it. In this complicated world, very few concepts are as misunderstood as Allah and the religion of Islam. Opinions passed down through generations, images distorted by the media, and acts of extremism pinned onto an entire faith have all created layers of fog that hide the true nature of Islam. That is why this final chapter is not only about correcting misconceptions, it is about opening a door to look deeply into the truth. A truth that will surprise many people when they realize that many things they thought were obvious have never really been true. One of the most basic misunderstandings is the idea that Allah is a completely different God. For those who actually study, the truth is simple. Allah is the one and only God of the Abrahamic faiths, the one whom the Jewish people call Elohim and Christians call God. Languages differ, but the reality is one. The Quran even states this very clearly. The Lord of the Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims is the same one. The difference does not lie in the Creator, but in the ways that human beings over time have understood and interpreted revelation. Another misunderstanding comes from imagining Allah as a distant, cold deity sitting above the world, unconcerned with human beings. The Quran teaches the exact opposite. Allah is closer to people than the vein in their neck. He hears even the quietest prayers. He is the one who responds, the one who knows what people hide in their hearts, the one who is there when they are in despair, and the one who opens a way when they think there is no way left. If a person has ever experienced a moment when a silent, desperate plea brought an unexplainable sense of relief, then they have tasted a small part of that nearness. One of the most controversial claims is the idea that Islam is a religion of violence. In reality, the verses in the Quran that call for fighting were revealed in the context of self-defense, when a small, persecuted community was being hunted down and forced to fight for survival. Islam does not permit unprovoked aggression. It does not accept killing civilians. It never glorifies forcing faith on others through violence. If Islam truly promoted violence, how could millions of scholars, doctors, mathematicians, philosophers, poets, and thinkers have grown within the golden age of Islamic civilization? A faith that nourishes intellect cannot at the same time nourish cruelty. Women in Islam are also a topic that is often misunderstood. Many people see cultural practices in certain regions and assume that these are the teachings of the religion. Yet the Quran is one of the earliest sacred texts in human history. To explicitly recognize a woman's right to inheritance, to conduct business, to own property, and to be treated with respect and fairness. Khadija was a businesswoman. Aisha was a major scholar. Hundreds of early Muslim women were teachers, merchants, poets, and transmitters of hadith. Islam has never declared women to be inferior. People have violated the teachings and then blamed the religion. It is also important to clarify that sharia, Islamic law, is not a brutal code as many imagine. In its original essence, sharia is a path toward justice, the protection of the weak, the preservation of peace, and the safeguarding of a morally healthy society. The severe penalties described in classical sharia come with extremely strict conditions. In practice, proving a crime to that standard is almost impossible. Many people focus only on outward forms and never see the spirit of sharia: compassion, justice, and the prevention of oppression. Another persistent misunderstanding is the idea that Muslims worship the Kaaba. The Kaaba is only the direction of prayer, a reference point that unites the hearts of millions in one single direction. Muslims do not worship a building, and they do not worship stone. They worship Allah, the Creator who is beyond space and not contained in any physical form. The Kaaba is a symbol of unity, not the object of worship. In the same way, jihad is often twisted into the idea of holy war, while its true meaning is much deeper. The greatest jihad is the struggle against one's own self, against greed, anger, arrogance, laziness, and all tendencies that pull a person away from Allah. Jihad refers to military struggle only in the context of defense, when a community is under attack and must protect its own existence. Turning such a sacred concept into a tool of propaganda is not only wrong, it is a betrayal of the truth. Islam is also not hostile toward people of other faiths. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes that Allah does not forbid Muslims from treating kindly and justly those who do not fight them or drive them from their homes. The first Muslim community lived peacefully alongside Jews and Christians. The Prophet Muhammad even established the Constitution of Medina, a charter that guaranteed religious freedom for different groups. If Islam were inherently aggressive, then the multi-religious civilizations under Muslim rule would never have survived. When these layers of misunderstanding are stripped away, what remains is a simple truth. Islam is a religion of truth, justice, mercy, and surrender to the one God. Allah is not the image people have built from fear or prejudice. He is the one who invites humanity into the light of knowledge and offers them a place in his eternal plan. When a person finally understands correctly, they no longer see Islam through the lens of fear, but through the lens of respect and admiration. They realize that this faith has never called people to become cruel. It has called them to become more honest, more just, and more worthy of being beings who carry the breath of the Creator. The deepest lesson drawn from this entire journey is this: human beings can only be truly happy when they understand their relationship with the Creator. When we know who Allah is, we know how we are meant to live. When we believe that everything that happens is within His plan, our hearts become lighter, more patient, and freer from pointless anxieties. In practical terms, this means that each person should learn to pause in the middle of a busy life and look more deeply at their purpose, their ethics, and the balance that Allah wants them to maintain. Start small: a sincere prayer, a kind action, a quiet moment of reflection during the day. From these small beginnings, the relationship with Him will grow and become a source of strength for an entire lifetime. If you want to explore more of the stories, lessons, and truths that run through the history of this faith, join the Prophetic History Explained community to receive more beneficial knowledge about Allah, the Quran, the prophets, and the journey of humanity in the light of revelation. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel to support us in continuing to bring valuable and inspiring content in the next videos.